Hello and welcome back. We are doing the solid axle swap on the Rodeo. I feel like I'm just playing with Legos. I'd say this would be the equivalent of Legos, except adult Legos, because I really enjoy doing this stuff and it's very fun, just on a much bigger scale. So we're really just at the design phase of this build. We're not really that far into it. Just getting things put into position and measured up, get things how I want them to sit, and optimal design. So this one is a little bit different from anything that I've done in the past. So what I'm actually trying to achieve is to have the diff end a bolt-on application, which is proving to be a bit hard. I know the sacrifices that come with that are quite large. So the design aspects sometimes with bolt-on, trying to make it bolt-on, it's big and it's bulky, and it just can't get the streamline part that you get with welding. So, you know, when you weld stuff all together, you can just build it however you want it, stick it down and put it anywhere, you know, anywhere at all. But, you know, I'm trying to utilize the Nissan GU factory brackets on the diff, and I'm in two minds about it. I'm just like, nah, that's it. Cut it all off and just design a whole weld-on thing, you know. But, you know, I'm just playing around with this. I think it could be pretty cool for, you know, other people that want to do this. You know, they can sort of just buy a stock diff and then bolt all this stuff up. And then, you know, it's only just the chassis you really have to think about. But it just makes the whole process a bit easier. So, if, you know, for other people to do it, you know, otherwise you need to have some serious welding skills and weld the entire thing up, which is easy done. Most people can most fabricators have no problem doing that. Most welders have no problem doing that. But the people that, you know, mightn't have all of the know-how might just want to have something that can just almost bolt up with minimal welding to do. So, you know, that's kind of my goal with this. It might be a stupid goal. I might completely just fuck that and just go on the path to welding it all. But we'll try and give it a go. But this is where we're up to so far. So we got the diff under there, starting our modifications. I've got the GU steering box. I've got one cross tube installed. It's sort of just hanging on that. I'm pretty happy with the location of this. It is quite nice. There's going to be plenty of clearance there, and it's far forward enough, and I just feel like that is in a great position. So we're going to be able to get our steering shaft. That's going to be an easy mod to do that one. So yeah, you know, the bit that I thought was going to be, you know, the hardest part, probably the easiest. Now this is going to have to be welded on. There's kind of no way around that. You need welded cross tubes that go through the frame, like decent sized cross tubes, you know, big wall thickness stuff, you know, like that. That's the sort of cross tube that you want to be using. So I'd say that's a good 5 or 6 mil wall. Can't just be putting bits of rolled tube in there. That is just crap. It's not thick enough and it's not precise enough. So that's what you got to run with for this. And you really do, you have to plate the chassis up. Although this is a pretty good frame on the Rodeo, it does have like a double a double layer frame, which I think is really cool for such a light rig. I think they just knew how to design stuff. It's actually a pretty good frame from standard, but because we're going to be having lots of heat affected zone and all the heat affected zone from the old stuff, you know, that's going to give us that's going to be more prone to cracking. So where the old IFS brackets used to be, there's a big heat zone here from the factory. So that there, even though you can't see it, it is harder, the metal is harder from when, you know, from standard, because it's had a whole bunch of heat pumped into it. So it's effectively kind of like a minute case hardening. So it's changed the structure of the steel in this particular point. So overplating that and putting our plug welds and fully welded along top edge and bottom, that's going to give us a really good starting point to build off. Yeah, there's just no way around welding, in my opinion, on the frame. But if we can just keep the welding to the frame, that'll be excellent. And then we can just have bolt-on application for the diff. I think that'll be really cool. I've got the steering rod. It's the big 1.25 heam joints. The angle on that is beautiful. It's essentially, this is ride height and that's essentially level. So once it's all sitting on the springs, it's going to be not far off level, or actually level with the ground, which is going to be very nice for the steering. So over here, I'm going to have the 4-link on the bolt-on brackets. Now I'm just here trying to work out how I'm going to do the panhard, because the stock panhard position, it's going to be bump steering like shit, because the patrol track, the track rod, it's nowhere near the same length as the steering rod. And I just know how rubbish patrols drive, and that has a lot to do with it. You hit a bump and the steering wheel will just come, it just fucking smashes out of your hand. That is why. So we're going to try and keep these rods the same length. This is what brings me back to design aspects. So that's another thing that the bolt-on is hindering. So I need to work out how to make an intricate fucking bracket for that to bolt onto. So that's going to be very interesting. The base of our 4-link, so we got our big ass heim joints. That's the upper, that's the lower. Also another design flaw is that it's going to have fucking bendy arms, you know. It's going to have control arms that have a bend in them. You know, there's going to be a bend for this one because it needs to do a funky bend here. And this one, it's going to need a funky bend just to clear the top of the frame here. So more sacrifices that may not be even worth doing. So that's more like the length of the panhard that I want to do. So this panhard rod is the same length as my template up here. Dead set, exactly the same. So if you bent or broke one, you could actually just flip them, you could do whatever. Everything's the same size, same joints, everything. That's a stock patrol panhard. And like lengthwise, doesn't have enough length. You see? We're missing. Like, just bear in mind that the joint comes to here. So we're missing somewhere around 300 millimeters. I don't want my rig to bump steer at all. We're going to have these set up, the pennard and the steering rod at the same angle, at the same length, so that we don't get any of that crap. So that is the next mission, is to try and get that to work. Why are my arms plastic, you may ask? So today, plastic is incredibly strong, so you know, this isn't going to break at all on the track. No, we are not using it. It is just for a template. Literally just to template up the arms. You know, we can trim and cut and modify, and if we fucking fuck up a length, you know, it's 20 bucks to rectify it. So we just got the weld-in bungs. Hose clamped in. These bungs fit into this this bit of PVC incredibly well, actually. How long is it? Okay. So yeah, just heat up the tube a little bit and actually just pop them in and then hose clamp them. Really nice. So, you know, ideally we can just pretty much send these templates to the machine shop and have them machine out our solid alley arms, is what I'm thinking. We could do welded in bungs with chromoly tube, but I honestly think aluminium these days is cheaper. The quote that I got for chromoly blew my mind a little bit. Plus there's welding involved as well. I know that we can do a bit of a bend on 6061 alley, but we're gonna have to, maybe it's gonna be both. Maybe we're gonna do the control arms out of chromo and everything else out of alley. So we'll wait and see. Okay, so I caved in. We're gonna be doing a bit of welding on the diff. It's probably minimal welding, pretty easy stuff. Have a look at this bracket that I've fabbed up. It's pretty good, it's come out really nice. So that's it there. A little bit more bracing, some big ass bracing down here to make that a bit more solid. So yeah, the hydro bump is going to bump onto the old GU coil tower. So that's just going to be a bump pad now. And we're going to mount the coil over to part of the bolt-on bracket and then just a weld-on brace. That's a weld-on brace that I'm going to make here. That's just sitting on there for now, just for convenience. But yeah, that will come up and bolt into there. So yeah, haven't rage quit the bolt-on application as of yet. I'm actually quite hopeful for the future. It might be pretty good. You know, it's actually minimal welding on the diff, which is great. Any welding that we can eliminate from the process is good for people that don't know how to weld. But whatever, we're just R&D. This is R&D. We're doing research and development. That's what we're doing. So that's the other side of the pennard. So I've got a bracket that's going to be a bit of an outboard bracket. I've managed to get this within about 60 millimeters of the steering rod. So that's just going to have to do within 60 mils, pretty good. That's 30 millimeters per side. So not the end of the world. It's going to bump steer the, probably, you're not even going to be able to notice it, but you know, from a technical term, 60 mil, that's just it. We can't fit anything else in there. We can't build the pennard over the top of the knuckle. It's going to be way too high. We'd have to jack this thing right up into the fucking sky, and I'm not interested in doing that. I don't want it to be too fucking massive. So we're just going to carry on that path and hope for the best. And yeah, fucking oath, let's do it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned. keep up on our TikTok and YouTube, and we'll fucking smash this thing in the ass and get it fucking done.